We're on now.
Okay. Hi, my name is Ortavia Manning-Dixon, and I am the chair of the online learning and development task force. It's taken a while to get used to that. Today we're going to have a panel discussion about entitled "Let's Talk COVID-19," where we're going to discuss some of the things that issues surrounding COVID-19, educational plan for students and teachers at home, how it's impacting residents in Jamaica, and what are some of our best practice that some of us are currently engaging in at home while we're at home. I'll start things off by having everyone introduce themselves, starting with Leo.
Leo Gilling, thank you so much for that, Ortavia. Leo Gilling, the leader of the task force, what do you call it again? The Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network. It looks like we're having a problem today, right? Remembering everything. I need to depend on Beverly, Dr. Beverly Gordon, to get me going. All right, so I'm the chair of the Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network. I also host radio shows, playing music and stuff. We'll get to that later on.
Next up, Dr. Dyce.
Hi, everybody. Dr. Dwayne Dyce. I am a part of the technical support here for Jamaica Diaspora Task Force in general. And I'm also a part of the mentoring JAMINAR program here. I'm here and I'm willing to share the few things that I've known or come to understand with this virus that is going around and where the school is concerned. Okay.
Next up, we have Tashana Reed.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Tashana Reed, teacher at Western East College Preparatory School. It's an Adventist institution, and I'm here to learn and to give my feedback on what I know so far on the disease.
Mark Peterson.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Mark Peterson. I'm a principal of Burn Knox Westerlo Secondary School in Albany County, New York. I'm a member of the Education Task Force. And I just came on today to be to see what's going on. I was not supposed to be a member of the panel, but I'm here nonetheless. Thanks.
You are a member of the panel. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Yes. Dr. Bradford, you're up next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Grethel Bradford, and I am the co-chair or co-leader for the Behavioral Health Task Force. And we are here, well, I am here to sort of try to ease some of the fears and the concerns that people may have in terms of the psychological components of this COVID virus, COVID-19.
Dr. Beverly Gordon.
You're still muted. You're still muted. You're unmuted and muted. There you go. Well, no, you're still, there you go.
Okay.
No, you muted again.
I don't know why she's
there you go. But why you keep unmute her?
No, I'm unmuting her, but it keeps on jumping back to the
let her do it. Oh, there you go. There you go.
What was happening is that he was unmuting me and I was unmuting.
Oh!
Oh dear. Anyway, good evening, everyone. I'm Beverly Gordon, and I'm a child and family therapist with Crozer Keystone Health System, and also I teach psychopathology at Chestnut Hill College. I wear many hats. I'm also a family life educator and a registered nurse. And I'm here this evening just to help out in any way that I can. Maybe I'll say something that might make a difference. Who knows?
Jamaican with 3 jobs.
We have our person who is always working in the background, but I'd like her to say something today. Kimon, are you there?
I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone. Just providing support as always, not on the panel. Technical operations behind the scenes.
Venice.
Okay, come on.
Venice Fraser is here.
Venice Fraser.
Just unmute.
And if she's
Unmute,
Teacher.
Venice.
all right, you're live.
Oh, you're hearing me now? Okay, I was
Yes.
just saying good afternoon, everyone. Just here, a teacher, a wife, and a concerned mother. So listen to you guys to see how much you can help me out here.
Okay.
And is Latoya on?
Are you here?
Latoya.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi,
My name is.
Latoya.
Hi, how are you? My name is Latoya Duval. I'm a teacher at the Benone Park Technical High School, and I'm pretty much just here to get some feedback, get some input, and to give my input actually. So thank you very much for having me this afternoon.
Okay, so
I'm actually having some problem with my camera, so that's why I'm not able to.
Oh, okay. Great.
okay.
Okay.
All right, so to begin, I just want to say that my part in all of this is I'm a practicing teacher, so I'm highly impacted by it. I've moved my instruction to online currently. I kind of kicked off before my district mandated that I did. And I found it to be very effective so far. I've been using Zoom with my kiddos, fourth graders, and it's been amazing just to see how happy they are to see their classmates online, the discussions that they have about what they're doing at home. And it's given me an opportunity to make suggestions about things that parents can do at home with their kids to create a connection and to talk about things like this and how it affects the family, and just how important it is to go back to, you know, the old school days of having that dinner conversation or doing activities with your kid at home. And it's sad that it took this to basically create that connection again for us, but I find that, you know, while it might be a devastating situation, it actually has helped to create connections and also to let parents see that, you know, sometimes it wasn't the teacher's fault. The kids are sometimes presenting issues in the classroom that we have to deal with that are related to socio-emotional conditions, and now it's their duty to help and fix that in the home. So I think we're going to have students coming back to the classroom who are better students just because they have been able to make that connection with their parents that they just didn't have prior to COVID-19.
Let's, if you don't mind, let's bring it to focus a little bit, as we need to probably look at the numbers, what they look like in America and definitely in Jamaica, where we have much of our focus, right?
Right.
I think 2 Sundays ago, we were at a point where we weren't so sure what we were going to do, if we're going to do the week of action activities in June and so forth. I mean, 2 weeks later today, we are in a situation where America has 38,757 confirmed cases. In one day, 14,550 cases were identified today, because yesterday it was 26,000. Today it's 38,000, right? So a total of 38,000. How many deaths? We have 400 total deaths across the United States. In Jamaica, we have 19 confirmed, and I'll kind of qualify that in a minute. 19 confirmed cases and 1 death. Now, I read in the Gleaner this morning where there are many medical personnel who have been confirmed but not yet reported to have picked up the COVID virus in Jamaica. So we're sure that it's not just 19, but we're not so sure what the other numbers are. All right, across the world, ladies and gentlemen, let me see. Across the world, the numbers are so great. 340,400 coronavirus cases currently being recorded. Now, I put this into perspective. New York alone, sorry, let's see if I have it. I don't have New York's number. I don't have New York's number, but New York numbers are going through the roof, and we understand that because a lot of people took the subway, and 8 million people walking up and down from New York and bouncing up on each other each day through subway and buses and all of these trains, all of this stuff. And so we expect New York to be going straight way high. And because we don't know what Jamaica has yet, we can't guess how many people have been affected. For sure, Jamaica has cut and shut down and locked down its borders, so no more incoming flight with passengers. As of today, they'll allow people to leave Jamaica. I saw where American Airlines and JetBlue going out with one flight today. They allow a cargo to come in and also to leave, but passengers coming into the country via plane, train, or ships, or via ships, are not allowed to come into Jamaica. So we're trying to lock down. California is as martial law, right? I think Canada has cut its borders, has shut its borders also. So we have a pandemic of highly epidemic portions. And so we need to do something about it. And what's going on, a lot of teachers have gone home for 2 weeks, and this coming Friday will be the end of the 2 weeks, and I'm not so sure that they're going to hold that 2 weeks. It might go on a little bit longer. So teachers in Jamaica, we are learning. We want to learn from you too, because as Ms. Manning-Dixon just says a while ago, that we have to go back to the old days, right, and learn how to use our hands and make fashion. So we need to hear from you. What are you doing there that we can adapt? It's not just a one-way learning today. It's a two-way learning, all right? That's the way I set this up. That's back to you, Ortavia.
Okay, so during this whole process, understanding the socio-emotional connections and disconnections that are happening to us, and the impact of it is very important. So at this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Beverly or Dr. Bradford to just speak on some of the, the social effects that might happen, and what impact does it have on not just teachers, but moms and dads and, everyone in general.
Who would like to go first?
Okay, so it's a broad question because it's having an overall effect of causing fear. There's a lot of fear and anxiety. Those seem to be the two major emotions that are being expressed. And one of the interesting things is that I spoke to someone today, and they expressed the fact that they're feeling alone. The person's feeling alone, really cut off from everybody else. At the same time, the individual is having stressors such as they're not sure how long they're going to be on their job because people are getting laid off. And if they lose their job, how will they pay their rent? How will they take care of their children? Things like that. So there's a really high anxiety level among individuals. And fear is a big one. You can see the fear manifested even by the way people are behaving in terms of hoarding stuff from the grocery store. I still can't understand the rush on toilet paper, but there it is. Rush on things like hand sanitizers and what have you. It's also one of the things that I heard a big concern on CNN, for example, today. They were talking about the supplies to medical facilities. And what's happening is that the doctors and nurses and other medical professionals don't have enough gloves and masks. That would seem kind of basic in this situation, but they're running out of those supplies. And they're actually being asked to improvise if necessary and reuse masks that were only designed for one-time use. And I heard somebody say, I don't know if it's true, somebody said that they've even been advised to use a bandana if necessary, anything, you know. So it's a pretty serious situation. Also, there's a lack of resources with ventilators because it tends to be a respiratory illness that affects the lungs, that people are having difficulty with breathing. Sometimes if they get sick enough and have to be in the ICU, they would need a respirator or a ventilator. But now there's a shortage on that, and people are worried if we get many more cases, how will the medical system take care of the people who need their care? Those are some of the things.
Okay, so here's the job loss situation. We've heard that Rio in Jamaica and on the West Coast closed 3 hotels in Negril and St. James. And then Sandals closed 5 hotels. And that's amounting up to thousands of jobs. It says that teachers have been on vacation, COVID-cation for 2 weeks, which means that people are gonna go home. They're not gonna have any money to spend just for a short time. Teachers are home. The kids are in different places. They're supposed to be in school. The parents now have to deal with children at home when they're supposed to be at school. And how do these parents handle these kids while they are home? The kids are not going out to play. They actually have to stay indoors because they can't play with somebody else's kids. And when I leave here in the daytime, I just drive around because I don't want to go into the presence of other people. So, we'd like to hear from Tashana, Venice, and Latoya. What are the situations going on in Jamaica?
All right. Should we choose Venice first?
Yes.
Venice, you'll go first, okay? All right. You're live.
Okay, truth be told, we're not on COVID-cation. We're working from home as best as we possibly can. So we are at home trying to reach our students who live in some really, really deep rural areas. Yes, some of them might have internet available to them, but we are here trying to Zoom the classroom, the Google Classroom thing. But we are having some glitches here and there. Some teachers can't get on, some students not getting on. We put up the work, the students not responding. We have classes of over sometimes 30 plus. Yet when I go into my classroom, I only see 2 or 1 or 3, sometimes none at all. But the work is still there waiting to be done. So we are actually trying to teach from here in Gainesville. We're trying to reach our students as best as we possibly can. So some teachers are getting through, some teachers like myself who are not so techie savvy, trying to do what we can to really reach the children. So we are really, we're really actually working from home, which is a plus. And the parents are really responding. So some of them who have their telephone, their cell phones, some have internet at home, they are reaching out to us to get the codes for the children so that they can get into the classroom. So we are doing that much nice here.
Okay.
All right, Latoya.
Unmute her.
Yeah. There we
go. I have one daughter, and it's a good thing that I'm a teacher, so I'm accustomed to having kids being around children, because trust me, I think it would have been a lot better if she was at school, but she eats right around the clock. So that is, and I guess that is one of the things that the parents are, because normally they would have just given them the lunch money, and wherever that lunch money finished, that's it. But trust me, they eat right around the clock. So I sent out, well, we were actually up on our 6 weeks exams, and I sent out the topics for them to study, and the student was very presumptuous enough to ask me, Miss, are you on vacation? And so I mean, so I had to nicely say that, remember, you still have exams, no matter when we resume, you still have exams. And so we still have to get you prepared. I have about 3 or so external exams that they have to be prepared for. So as we have CSEC, we have City and Guilds, we have NCTVET, right? And so therefore I have to be constantly sending them material for them to work through until, well, up to date, we haven't gotten any response yet, but I am still ensuring that they get the information, because at the end of the day, I still will be held accountable. So we just completed the marking of SBAs, submitted our grades and stuff. So we're just waiting on the VP to send back the persons who have the samples, so that we can start packaging those persons' portfolios.
How are you getting to your students?
Well, I pretty much just go through emails. I send them emails, and my lab tech and I, we communicate with them through WhatsApp.
Excellent. And you reach everybody, you get everybody, right?
Well, for those who want to be reached, I think that is it. Because for those who we would generally talk to on WhatsApp, some of them are still not responding. For those, well, I really don't know. For those who want to be reached, they have responded, they've asked questions, and we have provided them with feedback so they can continue. But one of the sad things though is one of my students lost his mother right in the heart of all of this. So I guess so we have to be trying to keep him focused, and so it's really a rough time for quite a few of us. So we just have to just continue to lift up each and every one in prayer, and hope that all of this will be over soon.
For the ones who you can't reach, what will happen to them? Will they be behind the ball when they get back in class? Are these online issues, are these online classes or online activities geared towards just to keep them active, or are they actual work that they would have done during this time?
Right, it is actual work. It's preparation for their external exams. I think eventually everybody will get, because there are some persons who will ensure that the friends get the assignment, but it's just that they are lazy, so they don't want to. So if you don't get it, it means that you can't submit it, right? And that is their thing.
Okay, thank you. Tash?
Okay, so I work in the primary system, a prep school really, and our students, they're doing very well. We have about probably 90% of students online. We do Zoom, and then sometimes we send work via email, or we have WhatsApp group. What our principal did, he's very good. What he did is that we have lead teachers in our school. So for example, if you have 2 grade 1 classes, there's a lead teacher, and the lead teacher is responsible for sending out the meeting IDs, sending out assignments and things like that. So it is working. Sometimes parents will complain that it's a lot of work, but I guess because they are at home sometimes and they have other things to do. But we are going on, and we're doing very well. Students who don't get it, I will, like teachers, we call the parents and we tell them what is happening. But so far, we are going good.
Good to hear.
Yes.
I mean,
probably because we're in Mandeville area, and we have the internet service, so most persons are on. But persons who are living in the remote areas, sometimes they have issues with their internet connection. So we will send it, we will call the parents and let them know what is happening.
Are you actually talking to the students themselves? Are you talking to the teachers? All right,
to the
you're talking to the students. What are they saying? What, how are they feeling at home versus the school?
Okay, some of them, they like it at home because it's more comfy. So we try to get them out of bed. We try to tell them to sit around at we try to tell them. So when I start my class in the morning, I will say, good morning, everybody. If you're out of your 90s, you're out of your PJ, give me a thumbs up. And they say, man, some silly PJs. so they like that part. So, you know, we try to get them like it's a real, we tell them it's okay, you're at school, sit up, sit up, you know, because if they get too comfortable, then they will be too relaxed.
Yes.
But they like it, they love it.
So everybody eating a lot of food at home. Is that what it is?
They're eating a lot of food at home, but then as a matter of fact, we give them the time for the classes. So now each teacher, you send out your memo or whatever or your bulletin. What I do, I send out bulletins. So I send it so like 7 o'clock in the morning and I say, okay, there's devotion 8:30 to 9. And then after that, you have class 12:30. And after that, you have another class. And then I say, okay, for the 12:30 class, we're going to be doing integrated studies. We're going to talk about the brain. And I send them a website. I say, go and look at that. And then we're going to do discussion. So they love it.
I say you both say, oh my God, you can just do that for the rest of the year then, right? But I don't think that that Venice has the same benefit because she right, Venice? You have to
not at all, Leo. Yeah, not at all, Leo.
Tell about your what are your frustrations? Are you talking to the students? Are you talking to the mothers? What are the students saying if you're talking to them? What are the parents saying?
Well, the parents are having challenges because you know that when you go Google Classroom, the child has to get the email address plus the code to go onto you, plus the child has to get the teacher's code as well to go into the classes. Now, we are expected to use our timetables or our normal timetables that we normally use at school to get into the classroom and teach your children. But so far, we have tried to set up the classes this week. The classes are all set. Most teachers went on to their classes. So now it's for us to send this information out to parents and students so that they can become a part of the classes. This week was a lot of teething pains because some of us teachers too live in deeper rural than Guys Hill. So you can imagine that you don't have internet. You have to depend on your data on your phones or whatever to set up your classrooms, plus work to send to your students. Hence, it is really, really challenging. For those of us who live in the Guys Hill proper, it is not so bad in the proper, like Guys Hill main town. But for those students who live way back St. Anne, back St. Mary, in some of those deep rural areas, we are really, really. It was just last night, a mother called me and she wanted, she said, yes, miss, I got the teacher's code and all of that, but I can't find my child's code. I can't find their name on the list. So now I had to go on, try to find my teachers who are setting up this thing to get codes to give different parents these codes so that the children can join the classes. Now, some of the challenges that I'm having too is that when we do send work, we're not getting responses as we would like. I don't know what is happening. If somebody not doing something right, it might be the teacher's fault as well as it could be the student's fault. They don't know what to do, how to do what. But we are trying, other teachers are assisting, we're assisting each other. And the persons, the examination persons who are setting up these things, we have WhatsApp groups for those grade 11 students and CAPE and so on students who are supposed to be doing exams. We have different methods. We use WhatsApp, we use emails, and we use a Google Classroom. So we are trying our best here.
This question now is for both Dr. Grethel, Dr. Peterson, and Dr. Gordon, right? What are your fears going back to school? Like you freeze a little bit, but what are your fears going back to school after all of this is done? And let's say it goes on for 2 more weeks. What will happen? Unmute her from now. Venice.
Which one's first?
Venice.
Say that again.
Venice, unmute Venice.
Oh,
there she
okay.
is. Okay.
She's on, yes.
Okay, go ahead, Venice.
Okay. Okay, one of my greatest fear is that we're going to have to reteach what we were trying to teach so that everybody can get to a particular point. Because we realize that some persons are at a disadvantage. My principal suggested, however, that we print worksheets and leave them by the school so that for those children who are unable to go on the internet, they can at least pick up some worksheets and get some work done. They'll be left back at school and teachers would collect and mark those. But we're going to have disparity when it comes down to the teaching and learning process.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're leaving it. Yes, go ahead.
Can I ask a question related to that for the teachers in Jamaica? Now, in some areas like Bull Bay, they're on full lockdown. Do you know like what preparations are made for those teachers and those students?
Maybe Tasha could jump at it.
I am not sure what preparation, but as I know that the Ministry of Education, they have websites that children can go on. Like you have the GSAT website, there are other platforms that they can go on. So we're hoping that they utilize them.
All right, so I don't think that because they're quarantined,
right,
they don't have access. I think they all have access.
Right, there are platforms and from time to time it's being advertised in the media. So they can go on these platforms providing they have access to internet.
Another thing,
and I also have a teacher. Oh, sorry.
Go on. So another thing though is that on TVJ they have programs. So they have been running some math programs and stuff. And it's repeated on a weekend. So if they're not able to catch it, because of course, they might not wake up early. So if they're not able to catch it Monday to Friday, they can catch it on a Saturday morning.
Right. Is that enough setup for you, Dr. Gordon, Dr. Peterson, Dr. Dyce, and Dr. Grethel?
Yes, in Jamaica?
No, did we set that up the proper way for you to address some of these issues?
Oh, yes, certainly.
Okay.
Leo, I wanted to, there are a couple of things that I wanted to say. I was taking notes from the very beginning and stuff, and I noticed a couple of things that from a psychological perspective that we need to, and a relational perspective, we need to address, okay? First of all, as human beings, we are social creatures. That's the reality. And we are now forced to isolate ourselves. And that in itself is going to have different implications for different people, okay? And so the fear and the anxiety that everybody is feeling is a normal thing because this has been imposed upon us. And so we have to think in terms of a couple of things. When things are forced upon us, we have the capacity as human beings to bounce back. It depends on how long we are caught in that situation of stress, okay? And I think what is important here is I'm hearing the word fear, and from what everybody is saying is the word that keeps coming up for me is the word frustration, and frustration that is extended can have negative impact. But what I particularly like is that the government of Jamaica, the Ministry of Education, I went online and I noticed that they had created a timetable for the children. So when Venice was talking and Tashana was talking about, okay, kids, get up and so on, there being a timetable, I think the ministry did well in creating that kind of structure because parents need that. Teachers already have their timetables and whatever. They have children who don't necessarily want to keep the timetable and all of that. but it's good that the parents know that there is some sort of timetable. It also sounds as if the fact that the kids can have the lessons repeated on TV, that might ease some of the tension and the stress for the parents as well, right? So the fear that the teachers feel, and I heard Venice talk about that when you asked her, the fear about reteaching children. I know that in the US, I'm not quite sure if it's all across the states, but I think they have implemented a waiver for the formal exams. I think so, and I think Mark, you can help me, and Ortavia, right? And I think that if the Ministry of Education hasn't done that, and I think they're right on top of stuff, I think it's more likely that they're going to get it done too, right? So it's a matter of reteaching. Yes, there might be that. I like the idea, Venice, that your principal also said that you give them the paperwork and stuff. My only concern about that, though, is that possibly a way for transmission of the COVID virus? And that might be a concern for teachers. We can't overlook that, because we don't know who have it. We don't know how it's going to be transmitted. And teachers might not necessarily want to look at it and to see where if the children are getting the stuff that they need to get. You know, in terms of, and then planning for the possible reteaching and all of that. So I think we have to validate the teacher's concern in terms of, yes, we're going to give them the paperwork, but because we don't know the extent of this, can we safely go and take their work and mark it? Okay, so the fear is real. I hear that, and I think we need to validate all those fears. And as the, you know, as the government goes around or goes about making sure that they are alleviated, how can we sort of like help the teachers? Are there any kind of sort of strategies that the teachers here may have that deal with things like this? Like Venice was talking about the actual paper part of it in a safe way. Is there anything that's there? Because that's real for the parent, for the teachers.
Excellent point, Dr. Grethel. I spoke with two principals yesterday, and they both had the same concern, because the government was still sending. We have another person on the line. Her name is Carmel Palmer. Would like to hear from her too. But the government has this feeding program, and they send, it's like bun and cheese or bun and bulla, whatever it is, and they send it to the school. They still send it to the school, and then the principals, both principals that I know, had to now go to the school and distribute it to the parents who are coming to pick it up. And they're like 200 boxes of buns or 200 boxes of bulla. And so I said to her, so aren't you afraid of both of them? Aren't you afraid of catching this virus? She said that's our biggest fear, because we have to go, because we can't have the bun sit there and the parents and not getting it. So yeah, I love the fact that the government prepared the activities, but to me, this is opening a door for persons to contract, because people are going to come and line up to get the buns, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I think, Leo, it does go. It's not just the food. And I had made a note about that too, because the parents, we have to think about the parents who are not able to afford the meals, right? And the frustrations that they feel. And the reality is, as human beings, when we are in survival mode, we do not pay as much attention to things that will keep us safe.
Right.
All right. And so if the bun is there, I'm going to go get it, right? I'm going to go get it. And then I might bring the virus home and stuff like that. So again, then that brings into question the PPEs. Are the people who are dealing with the food and the books and stuff like that, are they properly, you know, protected? There is that thing, because if they are, then I am thinking that that may allay some of the fear. I don't know, you know. But when people are, when they want to eat and they're hungry and the kids are eating the same way, then, you know, eating them out of house and home, that's moving us to the survival.
Camille has a question here. She says, I'm having a problem because I realize that there are only some subjects that the government and school caters for. I teach physical education, both in CSEC and CAPE, Unit 1 and 2, but there is no classes for those students who will be doing this subject, not just in my school, but other schools as well. I would like someone to address that. So I'm not so sure how to address that.
Venice had a similar concern as well. Maybe Venice could comment too.
Wouldn't that be something that they would address with the government, though, in terms of, like, here in America, the formal education and the formal exams are put away, or the grading is different? Is that something that they could extend maybe in Jamaica? Is that more of a bureaucratic decision to be made or something?
Well, if I may jump in. So here in New York, what we're doing, the state assessments, 3 to 8 assessments, those have been shelved. Those have been canceled. However, we have not yet canceled the Regents assessment, which would be the equivalence of the CSEC and CAPE. Those exams, the Regents exams, students normally are required to pass those in order to graduate. This year, we're waiving that requirement, that if a student did not pass it, they can graduate. My fear and my concern, which ties into Camille's, is that what about students now who need these subjects to get into colleges or universities? So what I've instructed my staff to do, students, middle school students or students who are not taking Regents exams, which would be like your CSEC or CAPE, those students are getting instructions, which are basically to shore up their skills and also to just review things that they have already done. No new material, because they are not preparing for an exam at this time. And also, we don't want, because we are aware that some students do not have access to internet and may not have access to the new materials anyway. And we don't want to set up a system where some students are ahead of others. However, with our regional students, and these are again the equivalents of your CSEC and your CAPE students, if they still have to take these exams, as mine at this point in time still will have to take, I would suggest that the principals come up with some format that these students still get new materials taught to them. I've instructed my staff that they have to continue their instruction, introduce new materials, so that when these exams are put in front of them, that they're able to succeed. So regarding physical education and those subjects, if they have to take those exams, I would suggest that you guys need to put mechanisms in place so that they are still being prepared to take them. Some students, and we are seeing the same thing, some students are not as diligent in taking, in going online and paying attention and doing what they need to do. But at the same time, we have to do what we can do on our end to make sure that they're adequately prepared, or as adequately prepared as possible for these exams. So if the government does not step up to the plate and do this, I think your principal, Camille, can step in and tell staff members that you got to give these students these new materials in order for them to be successful on their CAPE or CSEC.
I have a question, maybe Camille or Venice can answer. I know here for our PE exam, it's 5th and then 9th through 12th, and it's physical fitness test. So is the component for unit 1 and 2, are those actual physical fitness test, or is it written?
Okay, for the
Okay,
no.
Camille could go first.
Okay. All right, so it varies. So for CSEC, they would have a written test as well as a practical aspect for the subject. For the CAPE, Unit 1 and 2, they are practical really, but it is mostly theoretical. So in those units, for Unit 1, they will be looking at, in Unit 1, they'll be looking at functional anatomy and training and theory, and then sociology aspect of sports, and then sports psychology. With those, they would have to actually teach a particular sporting discipline, and they will be graded from that as well as the written aspect. For the Unit 2, for the CAPE, they will be doing biomechanics, sports management, and technology and innovation, which is also, they would have to create whether a workshop, a conference, something that incorporate the community as well as the school. So they both, all the subject areas both have theoretical and a practical aspect. So it's a little bit different from how the American system works here. So I don't know if Vanessa wants to elaborate more on, or if I leave out anything, could elaborate on that as well.
Venice, did you want to add?
Go ahead, Venice.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to inform Camille that I got a notice over the weekend that practical subject areas have been put off until Fridays. So those students whom we normally take for practical assessment, that has been shelved for now. So when we get back, as soon as that is up again, we will know, which give us some more time to prepare them. And when it comes down to like the practical aspect is never ever my concern, because the children are my children that I teach physical education are always able to pass their practical because they are good when it comes on to practical area. But my concern mainly would be for the theoretical aspect of the subject. But now that the practical is off, we can have something to hang on to. But we need to work on the practical area. And that is why I have my WhatsApp group and so on and so forth that I keep very, very close, keep in touch with my CSEC children when it comes to the theory on the WhatsApp group.
So to follow up that,
because what really happens,
Seems like we're losing her.
she is talking, but we can't hear.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I was just going to say that most times the students who opt to do physical education and sports are not really the brightest set of students, quote unquote. They are the students who can play football, play netball, do track and field very well. So their practical is normally very, very good. But when it comes on to the theory now, we have to drill, we have to take certain areas out and we have to ensure that they learn those, because theoretically they are not up there.
Yeah. So I have a follow-up question. Just kind of leading into a possible solution. If we are, you said earlier, one of you said that the CSEC website has practice pages for students who are preparing for those exams. Would there be some kind of theory practice for physical education? That's my part A. And then my part B would be, considering that if they don't have sufficient amount and you're worried about this group of students who might not be well equipped with foundational skills to pass that, is there some kind of YouTube channel that the teachers could like come together and create that would help those students to access, you know, like the necessary prep that they need, rather than wait to get back in and then have to rush, push, depending on the date that you're given for the exam? Because I can sense that that might be unfair for teachers.
Yes, that I normally use for my classes. Most of my classes are YouTube because I know that they learn. Most of my children who are in these classes learn visually, and once I give them a YouTube thing to do, then they'll really they won't forget it because they learn visually. Because that's some of the students that we have for physical education and sport. So I am saying that that could be done as you just said. So we could normally recommend the YouTube channels to them.
And I could add to all of this. I have a YouTube channel that I use, and I've been using it for years now, even when I was working in Jamaica a couple of years ago. And students really gravitate towards that. The videos, and you could use PowerPoint to turn them into videos, add music to the background, and give them activities to do, and they love it. The other thing, I agree with Principal Peterson earlier, talking about the idea of principals taking the leadership approach to this, because it's very important. If they're not going to cancel the examinations, then they make it their point of duty, and that's even a part of their duty, to educate these students in order for them to pass their exam. It is the Ministry of Education set these exams. They need to provide ways in which they provide equity across the board for these students, or else then that's really not, it's not fair. It's not fair for students to do it. And that is why they canceled so many in the States, because they're not giving the students a fair chance to do it. So on that end, it's the ministry. The ministry really needs to take care of these students. Where lessons are concerned, teachers could get together to use these platforms, and we could share some of these platforms on here. Some of them, they're free, like Google Hangout. Parts of Google is totally free that they can use, and it doesn't take a whole lot. I know the burden, when you're not familiar with using technology, the burden is really greater than when you're used to use technology. But once you watch a few YouTube videos on how to use them, it becomes really easier than to stay back and wonder if the tides will change in a short space of time. They could do that. Another one that they could use, apart from creating YouTube videos, they could use the same Zoom as what we are using, because I'm using Zoom with my students right now, and they love it. They really, really love it. There's a part on Zoom too that you can share your screen, which is the whiteboard. The whiteboard, you can write on it just like any other whiteboard. Students can actually see you writing on it, and they could share their comments and so on to it. It's not rocket science. You just log on, create your free account, and have meetings with these students over the platform, and get them to send you their assignments. The assignments can be, they could take a picture of the assignment after they have written down the answers and all that, make sure they write legibly, and then take a picture of it, send it to your phone, you zoom in and look at each problem that they answer. Or else they could email it to you, take a picture of it and email it with their phones. Then these students know exactly how to use these devices. So I think it gives us an opportunity to explore as much as possible, maybe outside our own comfort zone, but also use 21st century technology when we need it the most. Now is the time we need them. We need to get on board with these technologies, because they're out there in students' hands, and they have not become fully a part of the education system. So I think it's a good time now to get. And the last thing I'm going to share for now is where physical education is concerned. But with physical education, but also it's a website and also an app called Duolingo. Duolingo has over 30 plus world languages that they can study with their family at home. They can go on and practice.
Are they writing these things down? Are they writing these things down? I mean, do they know them? The teachers know them?
I don't. We are sharing. Yeah, that's a good point. But Duolingo, Duolingo, it's totally free for a couple of years now. And when I was working in Tampa in an elementary school, Rosetta Stone was very expensive. It got expensive that we stopped using Rosetta Stone and we lost the subscription. And then we turned to Duolingo and started providing from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade, different languages: German, Russian, Chinese, Mandarin Chinese, and
this is something that they could take, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, you know.
They could, anybody could take it throughout the entire day. They could
it's free.
live on it. It's totally free. It's not for payments. And so that where all of that is concerned with academics, then the physical education part of it, it's basically assigning tasks for these students. Let them look at the objective that you want to reach. Assign tasks. Okay, you could do 10 jumping jacks. Sprint down the road and come back. Get your parents to sign those forms. You could create a sign-in sheet. They run from 10 o'clock to 10:30. They exercise or do whatever the physical education aspect is, or the objective that they are trying to accomplish. They could get their parents involved so that they sign these sheets, then take a picture of it again or email it.
I mean, a video. You can't take a video these days.
Right. And here, Venice is saying that she has a YouTube channel.
But I hear, sorry, Dwayne, I don't mean to interrupt, but I don't think that the physical aspect is the issue. What Camille and Venice are both saying is that they're worried about theory. Because that's the part that their performance is going to be the poorest. I heard Venice say that she does the physical education with her kids and they're usually good at passing that. The problem is that, and in the text here, in the chat, I'm seeing I think Camille and Venice both pointed out that motivation might be a problem in so many words, motivation for the kids and for the parents to get it done, which I understand that very well. Teachers are the driving force of motivation for students to get them to actually produce work. And sometimes the parents are the negative factors that blocks the students from actually producing the work. And Dr. Beverly and Dr. Gordon, Dr. Bradford can actually comment on this because that's the brunt of the problem most of the time. It's always getting the kids to do it and to believe in their own abilities to do it. So that is the presentation of the problem. I see that they have the 2008 to 2019 work, but I can imagine that your concerns might be, are they actually going to sit and practice it? So the deal, ideally what you have to do is do what you can. You put it out there in the most favorable form so the students are hyped to do it, so to speak, in layman language. And that would be like, maybe try coding for PE. You gotta get very, very creative at this point. But that's where coding comes in, because you can blend theory and the actual act of doing the actions of PE together. I imagine, I don't know what the physical education CSEC looks like because I personally have never taken it, but I have taken the past CXC exams. And I know they can be quite challenging because they're written in Old English language. They're not written in today's basic English language that we speak. So the way the questions are presented might be a problem, and this is why these past papers are vital. But is there a way that teachers can come together and start putting out ideas out there in YouTube to create that bank? And I'm targeting Venice and Camille and Tashana at this point, where you can actually get the questions off that and create some kind of a code and blast it out there on YouTube to help these kids. Just an idea, but would that be possible?
Before they respond to that, I have noted here that we're talking a lot about the mechanics of teaching and education. We have two persons who are mental health. And I was kind of disappointed because I was as kind of not disappointed. I'm sorry, that's the wrong word. I'm actually very happy to hear that the teachers have it very well organized in a way that the impact on the students aren't as great. If I'm hearing Tashana, I'm hearing her saying her students are doing fine. And I heard also Latoya and her students not doing that bad. I heard some challenges, mechanics challenges with Venice. But I don't hear anybody saying, boy, the student, them gone, them not doing well mentally, them they lock up at them house and them can't come out, and it have impact on them, and the parents them can't deal with it, and it's them a fight because the parents not accustomed to having the kids them in the house so long, and yada yada yada. I was hoping to hear that, but it looks like we don't have them so well organized and well active in active stuff that they don't have time for to even think about that.
But Leo, that's the hidden part that we wouldn't be able to see. And that's the struggle I have with my students who have not responded to homework. But despite my daily phone calls from 8 to 9 a.m., that's still a struggle. And it brings me back to think about my population, which I know very well. Over 73% of my population receives some kind of mental health services. Now, you're talking about Jamaica, where students don't really have access to mental health services or very minimum access to it. Now you put them in the home where the domestic violence and all those stressors are opened and to the forefront. You can't hear about it because they're not coming to school face to face with you for that to be evident.
Yeah, I was hoping to hear the teachers in their communication, even with the parents, having some struggles with that and so forth. So, but I'm glad that I'm not hearing it. Am I right, guys?
It's invisible, Leo. We can't see.
I think Leo, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I think one of the questions that I actually had here though was, how are the parents doing generally in terms of stress, in terms of anxiety, and in terms of their fears? I think this is, we always ask teachers to do more than they can do, and that's the reality. But how are they doing? Because the parents might tell you that their problems really kind of like, I think Venice talked about that, was, okay, I have the code for the teacher, but I don't have the code for my daughter. I don't see the number. And so the teachers might hear that. The teachers might hear I'm trying to get used to this system of deliverable, and it is stressing me out. And I think what they might do is they might put the relational piece of it to the back part of it, right? So we might hear later on about more cases where parents are losing their patience with their children. Okay, they are also going to be losing patience with the teachers. So right now, the first 2 weeks, I think it's more, I'm getting used to this new norm. And the important thing is my child is kept on top with just dealing with understanding COVID-19, as well as having to do the work that is sent home and the expectations for them. So they have to wheel and come again. And the parents might not be, the teachers might not be hearing the frustrations. I think one person had talked about that. I think it was Latoya, who said that, she's a teacher, and, apart from the fact that the child eats a lot and going to eat her out of house and home, the reality is that in a week or two, the mama piece is going to kick in. Right? And it's going to be like, you better go do the work, you better go sit on the TV and may you have nothing, boy.
No more joking.
No more jumping up. But then we also have to stop and think that the children need to play. And some of them live in tenement yards, some of them live in places that are in close proximity to other children. There is not that much space. And the fear that the parents might feel sending them out to play is real. The children have to play because play is a child's work. right? And so teachers will hear it more. So what I would say is that the only thing I can say to the teachers right now is expect the frustration from the teachers. Expect it from the parents. Expect it, right? And it's not just going to be about the book work. Is they are going to turn their anger on you. They're going to tell you that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, even when you know you're doing it. And that's just because of their fear and their anxiety, right? So how do I say this? It's going to call for a lot of patience on your part. And it's not just patience dealing with the book work. It's going to be patience just dealing with the parents and dealing with the children who don't know what to do with themselves. They literally don't. Right now, it's a little novel for them, right? It's new, you know?
So
yeah,
1 week.
cool.
One week.
Yeah, I can do it in my PJ. I don't have to go to school. Maybe mother will make me homeschool from now on and all of that and all of that. It's exciting, right? But when they start getting on top of each other, when parents start getting on top of the kids start getting on top of the parents, it's going to shift. And so the only thing I can say is patience. And I think Dr. Gordon will add a little bit more, if anything that I've missed out. But I think patience is key. And again, for the teachers, you have to be patient with yourself too, right? Because they're going to want you to be patient with them, you know. They're going to expect it like it's them right and privilege, right? So you now have to be patient with yourself as you go through all of this. And I think at the beginning, I had heard someone say something about, I think Ortavia, you talked about that. Teachers here have a pipeline where they provide support for each other. Venice and Latoya and Judith and Tashana, do you have that in place where you can have like a chat room where you can sort of throw things at each other and throw suggestions at each other? Is there like a link where you can now put, when you get something new, some new information, you can load it for your other teachers, teaching colleagues and stuff like that. So that kind of support, is that there? If not, can you create that?
Sure. We have several groups where we interact daily, where the teachers interact like all the time. Right? So we have one where we deal with social activities, and then we have another one that's professional. That's a professional group. But just to comment on what you had said earlier, there are actually voice notes being circulated where parents are actually asking teachers to stop sending information to their phones. Right? Because one parent went as far as to look here, it was one day before me pick the graduate from primary school. When he come back, give the information at that time. So parents are actually getting annoyed with all of this. A taximan said that his phone is what he uses to make his living, right? Because this is what his clients calling from. And so the teacher, the man said that he just went outside, and by the time, it was over 300 messages. So parents are, yes, they're actually getting annoyed with all of this, but I don't know what will happen in the second week or the third week for that matter.
And maybe this is where as the teachers get more used to the system and maybe can kind of cut down on the amount of communication, because right now there's a kind of panic communicating thing going on, right? I need you to get the information. I need to make sure that I am being held up. I know I'm being held accountable, and I want you to know that I know that. And so the teachers maybe, some of them might in fact just be going into overdrive because they want to make sure they're giving the kids what they want. So maybe by week 2 or week 3, they could, and I would temper it with, Mr. John Brown, I am so sorry, sir. I know I said that your phone important to you, you have better things to do and using up your time. Please forgive us. But just one more thing, all right? And then we can maybe cut down on the amount of communication that we send to the parents. I don't know if that's possible. And it's true. If man use him phone for taxi, if we get him call, he might go back, sir. Because
Dr.
when
Greth,
I'm feeding picnic, you
Dr.
know.
Greth, you
Yes,
made
sir.
a great point about the first week, because Latoya even made it clear that her daughter, her child is eating a lot of food, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the persons who are not necessarily teachers, they're finding food each day as the day goes along when everything is normal, right? There's a lot of people like that in Jamaica. Each day they determine the amount of money they have to serve them for tomorrow and so forth, but they are not doing that now because they're not going out to work. And so the first week, they probably will be able to sustain having the child eat a lot at home. But the second week, when they can't go to work every day, things are gonna come to bump. And either they will go say, listen, me don't care about no damn, excuse me language, coronavirus. Me have to have me picking them eat, and me I go up on the road, go do my thing. And so, teachers, be prepared for that second and possible third week when things come to bump and them don't have enough food to feed the kids them in a house 3 times a day. Because remember now, when them go to school, them not necessarily have to provide lunch. Sometimes kids them feed off or whatever them can have at school and them get born and them get that. But if that not coming regularly and them eat everything in the house, right? Every time them get up and go on a fridge, go eat. Remember now, go eat a fridge. By the time them done, them fat. And so, parents are going to start screaming probably next week because they're not accustomed to having the kids at home.
And sort of like to tie in with that as well is the reality that when we are stressed, we can overeat or not eat enough. And in a time when the parents know that they might not be able to feed their kids, they might undereat and they might get extremely irritable too. So we also have to look at the overeating tendencies as well as the undereating and the hunger and all of that. What does that do to the human psyche? Because as you all know, teachers, the most basic need that we have is for food. Okay, so it's not just comfort eating, but when the food is not available, it brings out a different animal in people.
Okay.
It does. Okay.
That's true.
I don't know, Dr. Gordon, I don't know if you want to address Ortavia's question about the motivation. How do we provide motivation for children who are at survival mode right now? And I'm throwing you in, but I would have thrown if I never know you could have do it.
Oh, very good, very good. So actually, I was just thinking about the fact that, this pandemic came on pretty suddenly. At least for most of us, we didn't know that something was going on in the background. And just a few weeks ago, I realized that we were hearing stories about disruptive children in the classroom and anger management issues and conflict resolution issues between teachers and students. And so this pandemic comes along and it kind of interrupts the flow of everything. But then those children are not coming to school anymore. But I'm wondering what's happening in terms of their behavior. Did their behavior just suddenly stop? Did it change? What's going on? Are the behaviors that were being seen in the school, some of the negative behaviors, are they being manifested at home? And how well prepared are the parents to deal with those behaviors just at home all the time? Because, not all the children have behavior problems. So some parents are getting along just fine because, it's just their kid and their kids at home. But what about the families where, and I'm talking about the older children now because we tend to think about the younger ones, but what about the teenagers? What about or even preteen, the ones who have mental health issues that were being regarded as just behavior problems? And now they're home with these behaviors. and people are limited as to where they can go, how they can reach out to anybody. And we know already that there is very little mental health services for children that's being used. So I'm just wondering how that's being managed. And I also wanted to find out, heard that the teachers have support groups where they talk and discuss different things. What about the parents? Is there anyone who's reaching out to parents to kind of both instruct, educate, inform, listen to, give feedback? Because the parent, like they always saying that, the first week is fine because, it just happened, it's new. But I'm hearing that this whole situation could last for 3 months or 6 months or even longer. So in a few weeks' time, if not 1 week time, the parents, the conflicts that existed in the home prior to COVID-19 are going to start to show their head. And, some of those conflicts are going to arise. And is there any support system in place for parents and families? That's what I'm wondering about.
So is there any possibility, Venice and Latoya and Judith, I don't know, is there any way that you seen that we are doing the Zoom thing with the, it just an idea that just popped in my head based on what Beverly was saying. Is there a possibility to have a Zoom experience with the parents through the Parent Teachers Association?
Okay, I'm sorry, but what happened is that I had a meeting with my parents prior to this. So before we started the class, I have a meeting with them to tell them the expectation and what is happening. And as I'm speaking right now, my principal, he's in meeting with the parents because he got their contact numbers. So he's having a meeting with them now right on Zoom. So we have implemented that for our parents. And then we have an exec body who they meet as well. So that is in place.
Because I think that's important for
right, it's very important.
The parents to, I think they have to have some way to vent. Okay? Because if they don't get a chance to vent, and also the teachers might need a place to vent as well. So it's not just talking about the problems, the technical problems you're having, but also talk about the relational problems that you may be having. Because when a parent call you and cuss you out, your first instinct is to say, look, me do the best me can, me do the best me can. One more to do. That's the nice way of saying it, right? But the reality is that as a human being, you're dealing with your issues too. And so it's going to be important for not just the parents to have an outlet, but the principals might need to really come together and think about, if it's going to be a long-term thing, how do we support our teachers who are going to be taking the brunt of the anger and the frustration that's going to be coming from the parents? The teachers do need that support group somewhere, somehow. If it's just an hour for them to sit down and vent, however it is, and talk about the challenges, or maybe just list the challenges before, and maybe they can find out, whoever is convening the meeting can see the commonalities and lump those together. But those might be just academic issues. I think it's also important for you to link the emotional and the psychological issues and the social issues as well. All right, those need to be dealt with because they're gonna simmer underneath the surface and it's going to explode.
All right. If I may say, we have separate groups at school. So we have teachers who sit on the exec body. These are senior teachers, the vice principal, the guidance counselor. So what we do, we have a little group meeting, and then we discuss how to deal with issues, and then we take it to the broader staff meeting. So we have meetings at different levels.
It sounds to me like actually the teachers and the whole education system in Jamaica, I think you guys are doing a great job. At this point, it's not so much I feel as if you don't need so much information, not that information is not good, but what I'm wondering is, where are the gaps? What is it? Do you see anything that you think is needed that anyone can help with? Because I already think that you folks are doing a good job. You're definitely, I mean, you're knowledgeable and you're competent and you're doing what needs to be done.
Yeah.
But are there any gaps?
Good question. Where are the gaps? And maybe our discussions are helping and we don't even know that they're helping. But did you identify any gaps that you, before you came on the call, that you would say, well, maybe I could fish this out a little bit and see what comes in?
Okay, so for me, the gap that I would see, is the parents, in a way, because sometimes they, as I said before, they would complain about the homework and they're saying a lot of homework. But what I'm finding out now is that they don't pace themselves. Time management is a problem. So for example, when I teach a class and I said, okay, the class would end at 9 o'clock, and I said the next class is 12:30. Use that time to do some assignment or some work, but they use the time to do something else. So time management is a problem. That I would say is a gap. Proper time management.
Does that have anything to do with survival? The survival mode, that does time management has to do with the fact that some of us are in the survival mode, so we find more time to try to make money or make the breakfast, or is that, or is it just they just don't care?
Okay, some of these parents are at home, some are at home, and some before everybody had to stay home, they would take their children to work. So some are at home, but it's just that proper time management. It's just that, okay, we'll wait and see. That's it, that kind of thing.
And also, I'm thinking that, it's when you're home, it really takes a lot of discipline to actually do, whether it's work or schoolwork. Because you're home, you're in your comfortable environment, you're not getting up and doing the usual routine that you would in the morning. You're probably not even dressing the way you would dress. So everything feels very relaxed. And after a while, it might start to feel indeed as if they're on vacation. And so because the mind is in that mode of relaxing, no proper timetable, no schedule, no accountability, or little accountability, or less accountability. And so people really somehow need to be reminded. And the time management that was mentioned, I think that's really important, because even though the child is now at home and there's no school bus to catch, no uniform to prepare and all that kind of stuff, I think one of the things that parents could be helped with is to develop a schedule and to fit being at home, and pay attention to the educational schedule that's been sent out and fit in that. Actually give it a place in your day, so now we have to make adjustments. And so I used to do so-and-so such and such a time. I might need to change the time or whatever, but fit this whole thing into your daily schedule so that it becomes a part of the routine over time. I think that's one of the messages that perhaps parents might need.
Judith Richards had some really great points on here. I asked her to say it out loud, but she didn't unmute. But one of the things she said is the gap in disparity. Primary schools are at a disadvantage in terms of resources to facilitate all of this online expectation, and that's true. My sister worked for St. Richard's Prep. She has more resources than my friend that works at Independent City All-Age School. So two different
demographics.
Yeah, demographic, and also not even just the demographic, but availability of resources. One is a paid school, the other is not. So that's another thing that needs to come forward. And also, she said, also it depends on where you are on the island, which is a very, very good point, because we hear the teachers continuously say that the parents who are in the rural parts of the country, of the island, is very, very difficult for them to get access to internet. So it's going to be hard for them to get access to their work or access to even their teachers to ask questions.
So So, Judith, just sort of like a thought. I don't know if the government of Jamaica has sort of like banned the number of people who can be held in the, how many people can be in the public at the same time? Is it 10 or how much? Is it 10 in Jamaica?
It's 20.
20.
20. So
But can I
then,
say,
is it for those schools where they don't have the internet access? Maybe the principals could think about having grade meetings with the teachers, and so the teachers and maybe 20 students or 20 parents or whatever it is, because there has to be some linking. And if it's in small batches for the people who are in the rural areas, it doesn't matter whether you're in the lower income group or the inner city or the rural areas, there has to be connection somehow. So I was wondering if the principals could consider that, just sort of like have those small little pockets of meeting with the parents.
okay, so I'm the principal at my school.
Mm-hmm.
And we recognize, and if you heard somebody said earlier about the voice notes being going around, where persons are saying that their phones are being filled with all of these work. That's our reality. The students are not privy to these gadgets. They don't really have smartphones or tablets. So you have to send the work to the parents via WhatsApp if that's available. And so sometimes the parents are out, so by the time they get home for the child to get the work, it's way in the night. Most of them don't have this facility, and so we have to find creative ways to get the work to them. So as we speak, tomorrow my teachers will be coming to school to see how best, because we realize that our students are at a disadvantage. And so the grade coordinators have decided that we're going to come and we're going to, through text message, get the parents' phone number and call them at different points to come and pick up work that they can have at home to give their children, because that is our reality.
What about emails? What about emails?
They don't have that facility. That's what I'm saying.
No.
When we have meetings and we say, okay, give your number, say whether it's WhatsApp or a regular number, or give your email address, the paper comes back blank. Nothing is there. So we have to find creative ways to get to the parents. And a lot of us have underlying conditions. And so we have to, at this point, try to be as safe as possible. Because as I'm speaking, my condition is asthma. And so I cannot expose myself to all of these things because I don't even know what is out there, right? I have teachers who have respiratory problems as well, lung problem, all kind of problem. So most of what we're trying to do here is at our own risk, right? And we really want to help the parents. One of the things that I also mentioned in terms of nutrition, we know that the government is trying to help these children as it relates to food, because, when they come to school, that's where they eat the most. But when the things come for them, the parents say they can't come for it because they don't have the fear to come for it. So there we have another challenge. They can't find the fear because my school is not close to anywhere. They have to take transportation to come to school. And so that poses a problem as well.
One of my challenges is that on a regular school, during regular school time, I have challenges getting students to complete assignments, come to class early, take notes from the board, and stuff like that. For our school, we have year groups, right? So the parents are in different year groups. So for 7th grade, they'll have their parents in the group. And the teachers have been communicating with the parents in those groups. But to be quite frank, as Ms. Grethel rightly said, now is a time where most of them are uncertain as to whether or not they'll have a job in another couple of weeks. That is one of the prime problems. The children that would normally give us trouble at school is now giving them trouble at home. So they are really at their wits' end at this time. right? So you know, complicating that with giving them your role as the teacher, because then now they will have to administer the assignment, ensure that it is done, and ensure that you, the teacher, gets it back. So we're really complicating the matter. We're actually putting them under some pressure. And as one of the little pictures that they send us said that if they don't find the cure soon, these parents are going to find the cure. So we are having serious issues. I have problems with I teach electrical, and I have problem with my students. If it's not practical, they're really not interested, right? And that is one of the challenges that I have.
Judith, where are you, Judith? Where are you, Judith?
Oh, you mean with school?
Yeah. Where is the school?
It's Ali Primary. It's in Clarendon.
Oh.
On the south. So we get children from Rocky Point, Portland Cottage, Ali, Gale. So we have a lot of the troublesome children. So I can just imagine what is happening with the parents at home.
Wow.
We have to start wrapping up, but before we go, I just want to say, first and foremost, teachers, again, is glue that holds society together. You know, we are tasked with a very heavy workload, and it concerns the whole child, the whole person, because even a parent, a whole person. And it becomes very, very difficult in times like these to create some balance. You do as much as you can and you leave the rest up to God. Hold the parents accountable. Now they're understanding the importance of our jobs now that they have to deal with it.
Hard way.
Yeah. They're totally
the taste
getting
of
a
the bitter medicine.
Yeah, taste of what our daily task is. And at the end of the day, I will say this to you, where there's a way, where there's a will, there's a way. And a lot of us are, you know, talking from a parent point of view and being very understanding of their issues. But to tell the truth, parents are responsible for their child's education. And the same issues that you have there, we're having it. And I imagine it's the same in China. Maybe not as much because Chinese parents, they're very like, you know, hardcore on their kids' education. But it's a world problem right now. And so we can't dump everything on ourselves. We have to hold the parents accountable. What I will say to you though, is I like to use the term, make your invisible expectation visible. So when you say to the teachers, I expect the parents, I expect this work is due on Friday, then kind of mean it and follow up, but don't bombard them. And one thing I do is I do make the call outs to every single parent every morning, and I don't come at them from a teacher's point of view. I'm like, hey, how is your morning going so far? I'm telling you, I know it must be hectic because mine is this, you know? And I usually start that way to let them know I connect with you, but don't expect me to take yours on. We're in this together, you know? So whatever your shortcomings are, communicate it with me and vice versa. And if the kids can't finish the work because of internet access, as long as they're doing something is all you can do. That's bottom line. You can insist all you want, but what they're gonna do is block you eventually from communicating with them when the pressure gets too hard. So what can you do, you know? And I'll leave that for my last words, and then I'll let you guys just pop in with your last words as you go on. One more thing, Dr. Patrick Soon-Shong had a great program this morning where he spoke about the all the effects, and I was able to understand it very well. Soap is your best friend. Don't worry about the disinfectant wipes. Get the antibacterial soap and wipe down your countertops. Basically, that was his words. Wash your hands very often. Encourage your parents to do that. That is the end all to it as we know it while they're working through on creating that vaccine to work in tandem with the treatment that they've gotten so far. And that's it for me.
Well, the World Health Organization, to add to you, Ortavia, it says do the 5 and it's HEFSH. It's hands, wash them often, elbow, cough in it, face, don't touch it. S is keep safe distance, and the H is for home, stay if you can. Those are the 5, and they have a little hand going up like that. But I want to say 2 things. One is from the academic section, and it's basically making sure that we, as Ortavia say, hold parents accountable for both. And then later on, we'll talk about mentoring, how we can incorporate that in the home, but do what we can with these resources as teachers to help them learn, if it's even to call them and stay on the phone with them without internet access however many minutes we can, then we offer up that to them as educators. And the other part is where government is concerned. We need to engage the government some more, the governing body, reach out to them and see if they can do something about all of this. I want just to, as a follow-up to that, Dr. Peterson, if you could address some of the pointers you were making online, and I will hand over to him, and you could hand over to somebody else.
Well, I was making one point that regarding, and Camille made mention that there's not enough internet availability in the country to address normal needs on a normal circumstance. So, you know, this avails the government of critical information right now, that they need to take a look at infrastructure, that when it comes times of emergency, that this is something that needs to be addressed. The citizenry needs to have more access to reliable information and availability. And if they had ability to more internet access, then everyone could communicate and do whatever they have to do remotely. Here in New York, internet providers are providing internet hotspots to assist in communities where we don't have as much internet. And my school is one of those communities. So that would be a viable option, assuming that the capability is there in Jamaica. So again, this is a learning experience, something else that needs to be taken, paying more attention to moving forward.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Dr. Bradford or Dr. Gordon?
I think I'll just say something quickly and then I'll pass on to Dr. Gordon. Teachers, I want to tell you, you know, as a teacher, and I used to teach way up in the mountains at Chambers Pen in Hanover, right? Years and years ago. Far in the bush, right? And I taught in the bush, and I taught at Flankers All Age and Howard Cook. So I had a good crossing of, you know, the different types of the population and stuff. But the one thing that I think is important for us as educators, no matter where we are, whether we're at university or elementary, primary school, basic school, whatever, is that to understand that, just like Ortavia said, that we are the glue that hold the society together. And it's no joke about it, whether they recognize that or not, it is true, right? And so what does that mean for us? And I think it's important for us to understand that in the whole process, we have to be patient with each other. We have to be patient with ourselves first and foremost, okay? When we don't get it, we don't get it. We can't change we can't decide what the government is gonna do. We can't decide what the parents are going to do. We can't decide what the children are going to do. We do the best we can. That's what we do. It's like them have one teacher gene in all a way, where we just give everybody everything, right? And but the thing is that, can we just kind of just be patient with ourselves? And I would want to say, Leo, that if it is possible, and Kimon and Ortavia, I would be available. I can't do it Mondays and Wednesdays because I teach those nights. But I would be available to just talk with the teachers, to be present for the teachers as they go through this time of stress and whatever, to sort of like understand what is going on, and to provide a platform, because we have to have a platform where teachers can vent. There's something that we call catharsis, is letting it go, like boom, like so, right? Teachers need to be able to do that. And I think I am volunteering. I don't know what the word is. Volunteering now. Is it? I am doing it, so I think it's volunteering. All right then. I am volunteering you that we are here for you, just because we're up here. We are experiencing it at a different pace. We have different things that we might have accessible to us, but I think we can share, because I have this other thing what I'm sent to me, you know, from school with all of the teacher them codes. It say, I go, see there, it say,
moving online now.
Right, moving online now, right? And they're trying to get us in a place where we can walk through our stress as well. If there are resources, Leo, maybe you can create some sort of link where we can just kind of upload all the resources that we have available here.
Would you guys want that? Would you guys want that?
Right? So if we come across anything, we can upload it as it comes, you know, and send it to you and stuff. But we are here, you know, that's what psychologists do. We listen, we absorb it, we give it back to you as best we understand it. So just know that I am here in whatever capacity you need me to be as we work together.
We love nobody. And that's why we come on Sunday daytime, come and, you know, do what we have to do and chat with you and stuff. We really appreciate teachers, because we know the kind of hard work we put on. We know how important it is that you exist, and we know how important it is for you to have information so that you can become flexible in the various situations. And so, you know, we don't take it for granted. And that's why these ladies, Dr. Peterson, okay. And they're willing to jump on at any point in time, because they know the issues that are available, that are out there, and they're making themselves available to you. So I thank you guys too, Grethel and Beverly and Dwayne and Mr. Peterson. I really appreciate it. And let me tell you something. Is that lady down a bottom now? She named Manning-Dixon or Ortavia. She sit down back when they back there, and she do a whole heap of work. I don't know how she do it, and then she come on the forefront again and do it again. You know, so I appreciate you guys too. So it's really, really nice to have you guys.
Okay, Ortavia.
If Venice or Camille, if you guys could send me those 2008 to 2019 test questions, I can try to find any resources that I can that goes with certain questions, and then I will upload it and send it to you guys in addition to whatever you have.
The other thing that I don't know if Ortavia may have some resources here. They're having problems in math, and I don't know if we could do some math classes on Zoom. If you have anybody who could provide some math courses that mirrors what CSEC is and so forth, it would be great to get that out there. Okay. Anybody who has that available.
We do have a couple teachers who can teach math. We just now need to align them up with a time.
Right. All right, that would be great. You can talk to those ladies.
Here's my email. I'm going to type it in. You guys just get my email so you can send that to me, please.
Okay. Also, to add to everything, Leo, everybody said that they want the storage with the resources and all. They want links to that, all of those resources.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Great.
So,
Great. All right.
Another thing to
so,
do.
Grethel, Dr. Gordon, you know, whatever you have, Kimon is there, she can put it all together. She do. All right, Kimon, she gonna sleep.
And what I'll do is I'm going to get in touch. Venice and Camille, I'm going to try to get in touch with our physical education department and see how they are delivering their stuff to the college students. I don't know how soon I can get it, but I'm going to try to see it because it might help. It just might help.
Okay.
All right.
And okay, and just for advertisement here, next week I'm planning to host the JAMINAR webinar, JAMINAR next week Sunday.
That's good.
In the afternoon.
So you can tell your friends that this is a mentorship program and it's really working well in a school down in St. Elizabeth. Working very, very well. I spoke with a teacher a couple of days ago and she's really loving it. And there's another teacher that needs it, the one in Balaclava. Have you talked to her?
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah, Balaclava Infant and Primary School. She wants it really badly.
Okay.
All right, so I'll introduce you to her.
Okay.
All right, guys, thanks so much.
Okay.
Is there any questions that they have for us, though, Leo?
Yeah.
Any questions that
Any
the
questions?
ladies in Jamaica have for us? Because I know that Beverly had talked about the gaps. Is there, I know that a few things are going up and stuff. Is there anything else that they need?
Yes, I have a question here.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Venice.
Okay, honestly, during this time of crisis, I know I'm a teacher, yes, and I'm being paid to teach. But honestly, I'd like at this moment to be more of a mother because it's kind of freaking me out. For example, right now, I'd prefer to go on the farm to plant some peas and some corn, some sweet potatoes.
Are you saying that you don't want to be a teacher, as in a Zoom teacher, a WhatsApp teacher? You don't want to do that? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I would love to be without the whole lot of issues.
Oh, I see.
And I think this is why it's so important for us to have a forum for teachers, because let me tell you something. Venice, let me tell you. You see, this morning before I come on the show, I go to the store. I just jump in my car and just go drive, go buy water. That's what I'm saying. Because as human beings, our natural tendency is to move away from pain and stress and problems. People think that we want to move towards it. We don't. We want to move away from it. That's a natural thing. And so I want you to, that is what you are feeling. You embrace that, okay? You want to be able to go out and do something that you know you're just as good at, right? Right now, you are being expected to be super teacher.
Yes.
Right? And you might have been super teacher all along, but it has been magnified 100-fold for you. And for you to have the desire to leave it and walk away, you don't deny that piece of you, right? Because that is the part that once you accept it and you cry through it and you're mad through it and you do what you have to do through it, then you can get up and say, all right then, let me go face them all crazy people, yeah. All right? So it's being able to say, I feel I am human. It is okay to feel what I feel. And it's okay for me to express it as well, right? Because this will allow me, the teacher piece of me, to kick into place, because you know, say, that is also a part of you. All right.
Can I help you there? Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
A few years ago, we used to carry doctors and nurses to Jamaica to do medical missions, right? And what you just said to me just drew back a particular situation, because we brought this dentist to Jamaica to a dental office in Montego Bay. The office didn't have a dental chair, didn't have any kind of equipment, any kind of supplies. And he came thinking that this is a regular dental office that he had in Maryland, and he could just come in and just bring in liquor, whatever he's using them out, and just, well, after one day he stopped. He said, not do it anymore. Because this is not dentistry, right? Because what he knows as dentistry is that he walks inside of an office and it's completely equipped with everything that he knows, right? But there he comes to Jamaica and all he had was a room and a couple of chairs, right? And so after one day, he quit. So we had to talk to him. We talked to him because he committed for a whole week. And we had to talk to him and have him know that this is a developing country. We don't have that kind of thing, but this is where you actually come to be a dentist. In America, you are dealing with the IRS to pay IRS. You're dealing with employees and to pay employees, and you deal with repair and equipment of your equipment and all that stuff. Here, you get a chance to see the patient as the way they are right now, and be able to not think about the IRS, not think about the repairman, not think about anything else, the employee.
Or to get sued.
Exactly. So what happened here, Venice, is that you are taken out of your comfort zone, right? And you're put now into another space to continue to be something that you are good at somewhere else. Now you have your challenge to do something here. And so that's what this is. So what Dr. Bradford just said a while ago is that accept it first and say, yeah, me in this situation, right? But then you don't have to do it constantly. You move away and go do the things that you like to do normally, and then come back to it. Don't try to just spend 8 hours as you would in a classroom, but take some time and move away and come back to it. Is that what you're saying, Grethel?
Yes, I think it's important for them to, like, I am big on self-care, right? That's why I look so old. But I am so big on self-care because we are expected to care for everybody else, right? Yes. And so we have to be able to say, look, may I go step away a little bit, yes, because me can't be any use to any owner until me, all right, little bit with myself, all right? So we have to be able to say this. We have to be able to step back a little bit. And I'm saying to you teachers here, right? Step back a little bit. What you can do, you can do. What you can't do today, you leave it for tomorrow. And anybody want Bex, we don't make them Bex one. You understand? Because the reality is that you can pray through it, you can work through it, but the truth is that if you don't take care of you now, all on go ahead, oh, I can't afford my fee either, and I can't be there telling us, all I that be my cut. What you charge again? What you charge again? What you charge again? No, me a pay for it. Me a pay for it. Me a pay for. Me a pay for. We can't put it down. All right, but the reality is that if you don't do this, you are going to end up with emotional issues.
And the job is going to continue. They will replace you.
You're not going to be there for anybody. So please be there for yourselves and be there for your colleagues. Be there for each other and support each other. And if them have a ball on the shoulder, and have a ball on the shoulder, and send the whole emoji with the eye water, them a run down or whatever, do that, because you need that space. You're going to need it. Claim it as your own, and you'll be all right. We'll walk it through together as best we can for you, with you, but you have to take care of you too, all right?
Yeah, we have another meeting at 5, by the way.
At 5, so can I say something?
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead,
Okay, Tashana.
Yeah.
All right, good. So I like to say here what we can do as teachers, and that's very important because we're the bedrock of society. And if we're the bedrock, then we're firm, we are stable, we stay together. So it's collaboration and networking is very good. And we're doing this for the sake of the children. Teachers, let us not be selfish. Let us send things across. Let us collaborate. Because, you know, teachers can be very selfish sometimes, you know, because we think we're in college and we want to be the best. It is for the sake of our children. So when I leave here now, I have all the names on the website. So when I leave, I'm going to put it on our page that we have at school. So collaboration, networking, 100%.
Thank you. Thank you,
Good
Tash.
job there.
I have to come look for you because I have to come meet you. And guys, my guys, little friend, I have to come meet Venice too because I want you to take me to the farm, Venice. Nah, answer me.
She heard you. She heard
me.
Okay. Yeah.
And Judith, we talk all the time, Judith, by email. I guess I don't remember seeing you. You look familiar to me, but I'm glad to meet you. I met Tash already.
Judith has been on almost all the PDs. So Leo, you have seen her.
It's mine. Nice to meet you, Judith.
Yes.
I want to add something here from Latoya. She posted a question earlier on, but anyway, the question says, I'm a form teacher, a 10th grade teacher, and she is teaching math. And she said she wanted to know how to involve them more in learning because they're not enthusiastic about learning. But Ortavia, you could talk about, you remember we did JAMINAR a couple of weeks ago.
Is that Latoya?
Yeah.
I've been
Latoya,
responding to her. We've been talking. We've been chatting.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But we are going to have math instruction coming up. We just thought that today we should take a step back and just talk about the effects of COVID-19 right now, and then get back to business as usual. But we wanted to do a check-in and provide support today.
Mm-hmm.
We have to go now.
Yes, we do. Want to go eat some bito and come back on. Yes.
Ladies, it was nice.
Bye, guys. Have a nice evening.
See you soon again.
Yes.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Yes. Stay safe. Wash your hands.
Bye.
Wash your hands.